This is Matsemela Odom, broadcast coming from San Diego, California. I'm the chair of Africans Charge Genocide for the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement. Online right now, I have Comrade Zakhele Mkhondo from occupied Azania, the president of InPDUM South Africa, and we like to thank you all for being here. Hold on one second. I'd like to start off by first saluting our leadership, which I'd like to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party and the African Socialist International. I'd like to salute President Kalambayi Andenet, the international president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement. As well, I would like to salute Shasa, the Secretary General of the African Socialist International, and Dr. Aisha Fields, the Director of the All African Peoples Development and Empowerment Project, as well as the Chair of the COVID-19 Commission for the Uhuru movement. This is meant to be, the purpose of this live stream is to get a live report coming from occupied Azania, South Africa, and some international discourse between comrades. I'd like to salute President Zakhele and in InPDUM and occupied Azania, and introduce Comrade Zakhele to you all. So there you wanna, so Comrade Zakhele, go for it.
Yeah, Uhuru, thank you, my brother. First of all, I would also like to salute all the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party in the US and also here in occupied Tanzania, which has been very important in holding the front of occupied Tanzania. Specifically, I would like to salute to Chairman Tafari and also Secretary General Asa and other comrades that we are working with in occupied Azania. So I'm here. My name is Zakhele Mkhondo. I'm the president of InPDUM South Africa. I stay in Mpumalanga, the province named Mpumalanga in Bombela. So today I'm here to report on what has been the state of occupied Azania with regards to the COVID-19. So first I would like to start on to go on the agenda. That the first part is the impact of the COVID-19 in occupied Azania.
Well, first, comrade, let's run through a couple of the just brief announcements, and then we'll get on the impact. First, we'll do "This Flag of Mine" by Amy Jacques Garvey, and then I'll do a couple just brief announcements, and then we'll get into that, if that's okay, comrade. Okay, Comrade Zakhele. So, regardless of what is told of it, Here's to the flag of mine, the red, black, and green. Hopes in the future bright Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it. Great nations shall know of it in time to come. Red blood shall flow of it. Historians shall write of it. Great flag of mine. Here's to the black of it. 400 millions back of it, whose destiny deep depends on it. The red, black, and green of it. O flag of mine. Here's to the green of it. Young men shall dream of it. Face shot and shells of it, waving so high. Here's to the whole of it. Colors brought and pole of it. Pleased is my soul with it, regardless of what is told of it. Thanks God for it. Great flag of mine. So that's This Flag of Mine by Amy Jacques Garvey. And next, I'd like to make just a couple brief announcements, and then we'll get back into this agenda. First off, every Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time, tune into YouTube, Burning Spirit TV for Omali Taught Me. Also, go to the burningspear.com and make sure that you're up to date on all the news coming out of the Uhuru movement. Primarily, make sure that, like I said, make sure you're up to that. Also, we have the annual convention, the Convention of the African National Women's Organization. Go to anwouhuru.org and register for the convention as well. Go to developmentafrica.org. That's the website for the All African People's Development and Empowerment Project. That's where you can get the up-to-date news, flyers, posters, and other information to share on the People's War against COVID-19 and Project Black Ankh. As well, make sure that you tune into the Facebook InPDUM page. Go if you're not a subscriber, go to the page and press like. And we have regular live streams coming out of the Facebook InPDUM page. This Friday, we have another Burning Spear study group that will be broadcasting live for participation in. So now, once again, let me turn it back to Comrade Zakhele over in Occupied Azania as he gives the status report coming from Occupied Azania.
Uhuru, thank you, brother. I would also like to salute our president, Kalambayi. She's been showing us strength. She's a strong woman. We are with her in this time. Yeah. So I will go straight to my report, brother. So currently, in occupied Azania, we're sitting at 1,749 cases of the coronavirus. And the state has conducted around 58,000 tests with 13 deaths and 43 that have recovered. So that's the report that we're getting from the state. So the province that is leading is Gauteng, Western Cape, and KZN, which is KwaZulu-Natal. So Gauteng is where we have a lot of comrades. It has 713 cases. So we have a lot of comrades that are in Gauteng, and the cases that is where are increasing every day. In Mpumalanga, where I'm at, we're sitting at 18 cases, the province of Mpumalanga. So it depends with where we are located, how the cases are rising. I'll start with the impact of the coronavirus on the organization. So the impact, what it has done, we have ceased to do our organizational activities, which we usually do in occupied Azania, which include our weekly studies and weekly meetings. They are not happening anymore due to this coronavirus. So the past week we have to adjust to learn how to work online, organizing online, because we're no longer able to go out to do our organization on the street like we are used to do. The impact on the Africans in occupied Azania, a lot has changed since this virus has started. And with the introduction of the lockdown, many things have changed in occupied Azania. Only essential workers or services are allowed to go to work. Any other thing has been stopped that is not related to essential service, which they say include medical, food, and can be like your electricity. Those are essential services. Yeah. So our people have not. What happened is that our people were not ready for this lockdown. So in occupied Azania, what we saw is the people are rushing to the shops to go and buy because they don't know what tomorrow is going to happen because of this lockdown. Yeah, so what we saw happen is that we saw the virus moving around in China, going to Europe and America. In Africa, we saw the cases. We didn't have much of the cases. We were watching in occupied Azania. We were hoping that the government will act early, but since it's not the government of the people, we saw that it was putting the profit before the lives of the Africans because it continued to operate as normal, but we were seeing the virus was spreading around the world. So the government didn't react at that point when it was happening in the other countries. It waited until the virus hit our shores. That's when they started to implement action that will counter this virus. But we are still not sure if these measures are working for the people. We'll also get into that later on. Yeah. So the cases that have been discovered in occupied Azania, they've come through via these white people who are traveling, coming from Europe, coming here in Africa to look at this game reserve, which they go through, which we don't even know ourselves in Occupy Azania. They call themselves the tourists. So these tourists have been coming in and out of Africa and bringing in this virus. And also these rich people who are businessmen, they've been traveling, going in out of Africa, bringing this virus. So the African working class does not have access to go to Europe and China to bring this virus in Africa. So there was no way that the African workers can bring this virus in Africa in large. So South Africa is leading with cases in Africa. We can say we are the epic center of Africa because we are leading with cases in Africa. So another thing to also issue is that the government, when they started to act, is that they issued they enacted a law, which is a Disaster Management Act, which was the week of around the 20th of March. That's when they issued the notice that they are going to start a lockdown on the 26th of March. At that time, we had around we had less than 100 cases in occupied Azania. That was before 26 March, but today we are sitting at 1,000, more than 1,700 during the lockdown. So the cases have been increasing since the lockdown. Yes, so the lockdown is going to last until 16th of April. The state has mobilized all its resources through a tax team, putting together all the ministers of the departments so they can maximize their resources which they have. We have saw that the state or the government can provide water during this time, can provide electricity with no load shedding. The government can provide a lot of stuff which they fail to provide for our people. So, like for example, in Eastern Cape, there's a place in Kwakwa where they've been fighting for water for like 10 years, fighting even this year or last year, they were on the street fighting for water, but they were never given water. But because of this coronavirus, the people in Kwakwa, they've witnessed that they are going to get water. I think today the government went there to open the taps so the people can get water after 10 years. So it took the coronavirus for people of Kwakwa to get water. So that's how this government is operated. So uh, we saw the state arriving in our streets. Even before it arrived, we saw them releasing videos that they want to deal with us. They can't wait to deal with us there. So that's how it is in occupied Tanzania. I guess as this year I'll be turning 30th. I've never seen a state of emergency in occupied Tanzania. I only heard of it, the one that took place in 1986. So I never seen a state of emergency. So this is our first time since the end of apartheid that we are seeing a state of emergency, seeing the military. We saw our people, they were waiting for the military to come in the townships. They were not scared of it. Yeah. So what happened when the state came to our township is that we saw the terror of the state. There was nothing else. We were expecting maybe that they could send the doctors, but instead they sent the soldiers and the police to deal with the people. So the police did what they do best as a neo-colonialist secular state. We saw people doing push-ups, frog jumps, all that kinds of stuff that doesn't make our people not look like humans. While the white people they were doing what they like in the suburbs. The soldiers were only sent in the townships to deal with the African working class, not the people, the rich people in the suburbs. Yeah, so the state up to date has arrested since 26 March. The state has arrested like 1,200 people since the beginning of the lockdown, and the number is growing up. Yeah. So the state last week it was hard on us, but on the first of the month it announced that it's going to allow for the social grants to be paid. So it relaxed the lockdown. So there's areas, but this week the people are more relaxed. The police are not around. They can go out. Yeah, that's what's up this week. We're not sure what the government is planning to do this coming week because the lockdown will end on the 16th of April.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So to go to the InPDUM response with the black ink, I will start with what we did when the government announced the lockdown. We went to the people as a Better Life Association. What we did, we went to the people to give them information about this coronavirus, on how they should protect themselves, and also that we should remain in contact even during this lockdown, and also encouraging the people to go out when the police arrived in the community. They shouldn't let a neighbor to face the police alone. They should come out and see what is happening when the police they were around. So what we initiated here in Pumalanga is that we started a WhatsApp group where I met in Pinar. So this WhatsApp group, we put in all the people that we were talking to on the street. We're inviting them to come into the WhatsApp group so we can use the WhatsApp group to get information where the state, what the state is doing around Pinar, where I'm located. So this strategy has been adopted also by uh, the task team here in Occupied Azania. Is going to be implemented going forward, where we want to use this WhatsApp to educate our people about this coronavirus. Actually, we've been doing that through these WhatsApp groups. They are very helpful for we can reach a bigger audience. We can issue the information that we receive from adapt to the people on how to survive this virus. Uh, and also, what we want to do like Plank Ank is that we have developed a POA. Is a POA that has been developed headed by Brother Asa, which spells out what we are planning to do in the coming weeks. The the POA will be headed by us, vice us will be our overall coordinator. So it will be our guidelines on how to go about consolidating our work that we'll be doing going forward during this lockdown, as we plan to deal with this secular neo-colonial state attack on the people. And also this POA will be our plan, what we want to do with these WhatsApp groups and other initiatives that we plan to do going forward, working with other groups. This POA spells out all the duties that we have to do. All of us who are in on the team. For example, I will be on the recruitment and liaison. So for me, it will include my duties will be to share most relevant articles, consolidate reports from various WhatsApp group, and provide date information on legal implication of certain concerning the lockdown, and also information pertaining to COVID-19 and its spread and threat. So these are the kind of the duties that I'll be performing or that I've been given on this POA. So all those forces, they will be given tasks to perform on this POA. But the most important work that we'll be doing is to, since we'll be working online, is to create those WhatsApp groups to spread them all around. So we can lead our people to teach them what to do. Another aspect that we are doing as InPDUM is that we want to use this black ink to call for the skill of health practitioners. So we want to recruit the skill practitioner Africans to bring their skill to the African working class. So we'll use this blank ink to call for Africans to volunteer their skill to the Africans and recruiting them to using their skill for the people instead of capitalism. Yeah, so we'll be calling on nurses and doctors to come and join this blank ink to help our people during this time. Another part is there's this part that we are doing as blank ink, which we are involved with other organization, which is Black Solidarity Action, which is led by the Pan-Africanist. What they are trying to do is to bring all organizations that work for the interest of the African working class. So we'll also be working with those guys, helping them to create those WhatsApp groups where they are located. So to maximize our response when we might have to respond as a African working class to the state lockdown because we are not sure when it's gonna end. So if we might have to go out, we'll work with this Black Solidarity Action. We'll work together to rebel under these conditions. Yeah, Uhuru, brother, I think I've covered what I wanted to report, my brother. Uhuru.
All right, brother Uhuru. Yeah, you covered it very well. Now I see President Kalambayi Andenet on the call. President Kalambayi, would you like to say anything? We're transitioning to the ACG portion of the call, but would you like to say anything? I don't know if you heard Comrade Zakhele, but Comrade Zakhele just finished the status of occupied Azania in the People's War against COVID-19.
Uhuru, comrades. I just really first want to salute and really appreciate all the comrades in South Africa that's doing incredible, important, heart-wrenching work, much needed. This is the People's War, and so I just really want to salute and appreciate the report that I heard before me. And I want to take out this time and really salute with a profound appreciation for Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, the leadership of the African nation, just as we see the world changing right before our eyes and we see this whole COVID-19, this vicious virus that is plaguing everywhere African people are. As we see the numbers come in, we see who's attacked, we see who we are losing, and we know, and Chairman knew from day one. I just remember the first meeting that was called around this, and as it impacted my life at this very moment in real serious ways, it's clear. It's very, very clear that imperialism, capitalism, gotta go. There is no so-called peace under this current system. If it's COVID-19 or a headache or our kids being shot down by the schools or the lack of food or the lack of electricity, no matter what it is, this is colonialism, and this is what it does to the colonized African working class. So I think it's so appropriate for the Black Aunt to be built. And as I was hearing the call for doctors, I was just thinking, I just want to appeal to anybody that's listening to this to know that all of us have our part. I have became someone that is a fact-finding machine because we have to. We have to become our own doctors and scientists and everything. So don't let a degree stop you. All you have to do is be someone that is looking around and saying that this is enough is enough, that we got, and we have to solve this ourselves. Ain't no one coming to rescue us. Ain't no one coming to stop the pain of the African working class. If it's not COVID-19, it will be something else. And so if that's you, you know what I'm saying, you should join this call. You should join the Black you should join InPDUM. We must get organized. We must fight for power, because this is what it is. It's a lack of power wherever we are. And so I just really wanted to say that, you might be someone that, didn't go to school to be a nurse, but you're someone that can look at statistics and find information or various different things, doing outreach, etc. Whatever your gifts and talents is, you have a responsibility and a duty to bring it to the African nation so we can fight for power. The time is now. The time is now. I just really appreciate this call, and to know we are moving on to Africans Charge Genocide, because, the party has been on the right side of the question around all these things. We're not caught off guard. Wasn't caught off guard by COVID-19. I wasn't confused or not understanding how this happened, because I understand
All right, so President Kalambayi dropped off. As soon as she comes back to the call, we will immediately go back to President Kalambayi. But what President Kalambayi was saying was that she was very excited that we're moving to the Africans Charge Genocide portion of our presentation, because this is a genocide. The one thing that we clearly know, and what we keep want to hit home, is that the coronavirus is a colonial virus. And we as African internationalists, we clearly understand that the need to have a dialectical materialist understanding of the world and Africans' place in that world. We know that it goes far beyond individual choices, but instead understand that the way that this virus is unearthing the overall contradictions of African life underneath parasitic capitalism. Recently, the reports are coming out of every major city, and we know that there's at least a 300% representation of African deaths, and represents death rate from coronavirus in comparison to African population percentages in the city. Some places we see as much as a 700% rate of death in comparison to population rates in cities. In places like Milwaukee, 80% of the lives that have been lost have been African. I just read an article which talked about, what was it, Minnesota, in which they're moving forward with their elections today, especially as they see that it's African lives that are being put at risk, and not white North American lives that are being lost. State of Michigan is 12% African. 40% of the deaths are African. Over 80% of the deaths in the city of Detroit have been African. And with that, and the white North Americans that I've seen that have died live in the same communities as the Africans too, in those neighborhoods. So we really understand that it's a colonial virus, underscoring all the different colonial contradictions under which African people have to live. And the thing is, we're not being sort of hyperbolic. We're not being simply metaphorical when we talk about this being genocide, and we're not making up our own definitions. The definition that we're drawing is coming directly from the 1946 United Nations Charter, in which they define genocide as the killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mentally harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent birth within the group, forcefully transferring children of the group to another group. So what's going to happen with these young African parents that are passing away because of this? Where are their children going to go? They're going to go to other Africans, or they're going to go to the state. We know that they're going to go to the state. And what happens when they go to the state? We know that sort of foster care in the state overdetermines people's likelihood to be incarcerated later on, right? What's the cause of these interests? You know, Africans are not being given ventilators. Africans are not being given treatments. They're simply doing, say, a ratio and asking people of their medical history and then sending people home and stuff like that. We know that the only Africans who, you know, so you sit back and you say, wait a minute, how come I can't get a test, but they've tested the entire NBA? They've tested all these rappers, they've tested all these entertainers, right? Well, we know that there's basically a surplus value being placed on the lives of Africans, the Africans that make that have higher surplus value. Parasitic capitalism is making an assessment of their likelihood, not because they care about LeBron James's life, but they care about the bottom line profits that can be made if they reignite an NBA season and stuff like that. You know, I know here in San Diego, most Africans go to the local health centers, the local community clinics that are understaffed and under-resourced. Those clinics are not doing face-to-face visits for people who do not exhibit extreme conditions, right? So you could be a carrier walking around and stuff like that. So there's so many ways to which, like I said, this is directly related to ACG campaign, Africans Charge Genocide Campaign, of which I'm the chair. I implore you all to go to africanschargegenocide.org, sign the petition, share the petition, become a part of our working groups, become a part of our local reports. This is why I'm very happy to have Comrade Zakhele on the call as we continue to internationalize the ACG campaign. This is surely a place for us to talk about. That the coronavirus is genocidal. There's a couple of notes I want to take note of. First and foremost, that Comrade Zakhele noted, and he noted that the introduction of the coronavirus into South Africa is directly related to colonialism and neocolonialism, mainly colonial and neocolonial tourism, and the international travel of the elites, right? Which we know that sort of sets aside the coronavirus from the Ebola outbreak in 2015, because with the Ebola outbreak, we know that it was very simple to basically put a travel restriction on people from Africa moving out and things like that. It was that was very simple. What we know in terms of this crisis currently is that it was some that we say sort of the transnational globalized elite had traveled and took around with them. So the connection to this with the big tourist reserve games was very crucial. The idea, however, the other thing I noticed is that sort of there have been concessions won from the state that people have been fighting for over 10 years for water, and now they're finally getting their water. So this exposes a couple different contradictions. I think one of the contradictions it exposes is the weakness of the state and the power of the people. That's why we have to be organized. We have to be organized with fact. We have to organize with principles and discipline and African internationalism. So let's move to this, Comrade Zakhele. I have a couple questions to ask you if you're available.
Yeah, Uhuru, brother. Yes, you can go ahead.
So, Uhuru, Comrade Zakhele, first off, in the United States, communities experience high levels of hoarding, leaving the African working class with very few resources to sustain themselves during the shelter order: food, water, hand sanitizers, even toilet paper. So how has the African working class been impacted by the hoarding in South Africa? How and explicitly, how has this been like exacerbated, expanded by the continued presence of white settler populations and even petty bourgeois African populations who have far more resources than the African working class?
Uhuru, brother. It has been very bad. Thank you for your report in America. I think for the Africans, even here in Occupy Azania, is still the same what you are going through in America. We don't have anything here. There are no clinics, no hospitals. There's nothing. So what is happening here in Occupy Tanzania? We have this group which is have all these resources which they go and buy. They can buy even half a shop, which they can afford to go and stay for like 80 days lockdown in the house without going out because they afford to buy everything that they are going to need. They have all the TV, they have all the space to go outside and go and play. They have everything that they need. But for the African working class is a different story. You have the African working class who live on the streets. They depend on the streets, what they are going to eat for the day. So they live off the street. That's how they hustle. They go to the street and make money to go and put the food in the plate for that day. So tomorrow that person has to go outside to go and look for other money. So this lockdown is against the African workers. Another aspect, what the state did, it closed all the shops, all informal shops were closed and only left like 3 or 4 shops, the big corporate shops that were left open. But all the shops were closed. Just they left only 4 shops, which was a big corporation shop. So people, they were going there to buy on these corporate shops to try to get some food only. But the Africans, they don't buy what is going to help them. They're just buying things which is food. But to go and buy like your sanitizer, which is things to fight this coronavirus, they don't have those luxury things. While the elite, which is others which are middle class, they go up there, they go and buy everything that they need. On the African working class is a different story, my brothers. We don't have anything. That's how every morning when we go to the malls, we see lines. Our people are queuing. They don't even follow the protocols of staying afar from another person. They're going to the shops and queue there for just to go and buy bread or other stuff that they might need because they are not sure what tomorrow might bring. So every day we see our people, they are going to the malls to go and buy this food. Yeah, so, but the people who, they've been crying. So that's how the government has relaxed some of these sanctions. For example, the taxi drivers, what they did, they didn't want to take the African workers of the essential services to work. They say they rather not work if they're going to carry less than 7 people on the tax, because that's not making any money. They're working on a loss if they are taking 7 people on a taxi to town. So are working on a loss. So they rather stay, not work. So that caused a crisis for the government, because it had to intervene to say, first, it promised to say they're going to give the taxi drivers, they're going to cover all the expenses. Then turn around, they say that cannot work. The taxi drivers can carry more passengers. So they increased the passengers last week to say the taxi driver can carry more than 10 people, which for me, the lockdown is no longer there, because all those things, the government that has relaxed all these measures is no longer working. Because if it was saying you carry 7 people, now it's reversing, going back to say you can carry 12. That's almost a full taxi. So it means the taxi can be filled at any time. So that's what the people have been doing there. So
Comrade Zakhele, I'd just like to make a comment. Yeah, because if people go to the go to the Burning Spear, one of the articles, and you click on the link that's called African Socialist International. One of the articles that is there is about the disparity between public transportation for African people, the African working class, and the ruling class in South Africa, and I think that sort of you're hitting directly on those contradictions right there, and some resolutions. I do think sort of in this time, it's important for us to continue to build dual and contending power as the state even tries to possibly outflank the African working class and pretend as if it's sort of making accommodations for the people. However, we know that we need to push this towards revolution, and they're trying to push this back towards what they call normalcy, which is the conditions that existed before this crisis. Can I ask you another question? Last year there was a rash in there was a rise in horizontal violence against immigrants from West Africa, supported by the petty bourgeoisie, petty bourgeois opportunists in the government over in South Africa. Have these things researched at this moment? If so, how is South Africa and InPDUM South Africa and African internationalism counteracting this reactionary culture of xenophobia that the petty bourgeois people, opportunists, have sought to put in place at times?
Yeah, Uhuru, brother. This horizontal violence has been happening in occupied Azania. I think it happened back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. It came back last year again. We saw it. The people who I'm in Pumalang, I'm living with Africans from the other entities. There's no problem between the Africans on the ground. That's what I can say, that we get along very fine. So it's been the elite that has been perpetuating this horizontal violence to try to direct the people's energy to a wrong target, because the people of occupied Azania, they see now that this state is not working for them. So to try to save it, they come up with this horizontal violence to distract the people. So it's not only they're not only attacking the African from West Africa. We have Africans who stay here in occupied Azania who have been attacked too, because they don't speak the Zulu language there in Johannesburg. So this matter is something that has been perpetuated by the people at the top, because we can go in every town in occupied Azania, you will find our brothers and sisters, they get along very fine. So what the African internationalists have done here in occupied Azania is, with the studies, every time when we are talking to the people, we try to make them understand that we are one people, we are one nation. We have to come together to fight the imperialists. That's the only way out. So that is the only way, is to teach the people to see that we are all Africans and we have to come together. That's how we are dealing with this. And with the InPDUM, we plan to recruit more people to come to the movement, and also go and build also to the other entities around Occupy Azania, like your Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. We plan to reach all these countries, and also to have contacts with the Africans who come from these other entities who are here in occupied Azania. We also want to work with those comrades to make them understand that they are also in occupied Azania. They are still at home. It's not like they are foreigners. Foreigners is only the white settlers. Yeah, that's what we want to do going forward. So those are the things that were on our line. So until this lockdown disturbed us, so it has this coronavirus has done a lot of damage of occupiers, and our work has been put off on hold, and we're really planning to work this year, as we have issued the POA. So now, but we'll continue to do the work, organize our people. Yeah, Uhuru Prat.
Uhuru, yeah, and just so you know, in effort to bridge some unity, even at a time in which we are so separated, as you know, in the party and in the movement, we're using the term socialist distancing instead of social distancing, understanding that we can use this moment to actually bring unity. And that's what you said you all are doing. In the understanding of that unity, I mean, you can see behind me some of my LPs. I'm putting together actually a mixtape. The mixtape is going to be of Hugh Masekela's music when he was here in California during the time of the Black Power movement, and it's going to be a way to unite Africans from North America to occupied Azania, unity and in community at this moment and things like that. So maybe we can even have some live play parties and just things like that, broadcasting music, some dance and things like that to bring people together. How is one last thing, and then it could be, you even if you want to, do you think that the impact of COVID-19 on people in occupied Azania, an example of the ongoing genocide of African people, and also therefore justification for the absolute need for reparations, self-determination, self-reliance?
Uhuru. Prad.
Uhuru, did you hear my question?
Yeah. No, I didn't hear it. Can you repeat it, my Prad?
All right. So how is the impact of COVID-19 an example of the ongoing genocide of African people in occupied Azania? I know you already touched on that. So also understanding that the solution or the response is reparations and self-determination for African people. How, to close out this segment, how would you suggest that this is an example of the genocide, but also the point that sort of what we demand is reparation?
Yeah, Uhuru, brother. Thank you very much. To close this, the impact has been very bad to the African workers here in occupied Azania. We have seen that the police, they were competing with the numbers. of death that they've killed by the coronavirus. Like 2 days before, the police, they were leading with killing Africans, leading this virus since the lockdown. So the police are also killing the people here in Occupy Azania since they've been released. We're also counting the bodies that were killed by police. We're also counting the bodies of the coronavirus. But for the African workers, this virus here in occupied Azania, it has not yet reached where the African workers they are at. So we can't yet be able to determine what is doing to the African workers, because now it has been dealing with the elite, which are rich people there. So we're still yet to see it reaching the townships where the African workers are staying. I remember we had one or two cases in Kaelisha last week and Alexandra. Only one cases there. So that's where the workers are staying. And the conditions there are bad. Like in Alexandra, I remember the chairman, when he was here, he went to Alex, he saw what the people, how our African are staying there is very bad. It's not the condition for human to stay in Alex. So that's also genocide, the people, how they are staying. But they are staying next to Santin, which is the richest square miles here in occupied Tanzania. But what the Africans who work there in Santin, where they are staying is not human, really. So that's what is going to kill our people, because where we are staying, we cannot survive this virus. If it can reach where African workers are staying here in Africa, is going to be bad, as we are seeing there in America, what is doing this virus, what is doing there in Italy. So we are also waiting to see what it's going to do to us. So that's how we want to teach our people to make sure that this virus does not get into our townships, because we know that we don't have a state, we don't have a government to protect us. This can be proven by one, that we don't have facilities that are working 24 hours. Here where I'm at, there's no, there's in Pumalanga, where I'm at, I think there's only 1 or 2 testing facilities. So we are not sure how many people who got this virus. So for me, the solution for this is to continue to organize to overthrow this capitalist system. So I'm calling every African to join InPDUM to build black power, so we can have power over our own lives. That's what we've been fighting for, is to have our power over our own life as Africans, and to liberate Africa, which has been stolen from us. And we can see how the other imperialist countries are responding to this virus. They are showing all the resources that they have, all the hospitals. They show big hospitals we are seeing in Europe and in America, which we don't have here in Africa. But I believe those hospitals were built using African resources, including human resource. So there's no other way. There's no way out for this virus. Is to organize for black power. So my call is, let's build the black power here in occupied Azania, in Zimbabwe, Kenya, in America, so we can destroy this system in our lifetime. Yeah, Uhuru, brother.
Uhuru and Amandala. Yeah. No, that's excellent, comrade. Thank you for that. Exactly. The solution is black power. It's a colonial virus, but the solution to overturn it is black power. We demand, the return of the resources. Like you said, some of these institutions that are being built with African resources. And that's not a figurative, that's not a metaphorical a statement. So let's move forward in this. First, by basically, I just want to underscore what the comrade was saying, and that you know, the importance of African organization in this moment. One thing that we have going on here in the U.S., and I'm guessing, and I know for a fact on the continent as well, is there is a large level skepticism, if not complete cynicism, about the reports about the virus, about whether who can get it, who can't get it, things like that. All deeply problematic concerns and conversations and stuff like that. However, that's driven by the fact that African people know that these governments aren't for us. That's what you said, Comrade Zakhele, which is why it's absolutely essential for us to be that government, to be that leadership for the people, for people to trust and for people to listen to. That's why, you know, we call on people to go to Project Black On, go to developmentforafrica.org, to the Burning Spear, to InPDUM.org, to get the up-to-date information as we wage this struggle for this campaign for African liberation and this people's war against COVID-19. African people have always suffered from a lack of resources, supplies, and health care before COVID-19, and COVID-19 is highlighting this contradiction. That's why Africans are getting hit harder by this, even though you know what I'm saying, we weren't the primary carriers and things like that. We know that the government can't save us, and we must save ourselves. This is what Comrade President Kalambayi talked about, and that the resources are in ourselves. That's why one thing I really unite with you said is you're organizing support for other people who are being attacked. Here in the United States, there's large scale homelessness, and one thing the chairman said is, you know what, why not organize a public protest of the homeless and unhoused populations that abide by the social distancing laws. You can get, you know, a group of people, have them march down the street 6 feet apart from each other, wearing masks, but in public protests, you know, things like that. African people must, so we must be organized, and that's the only solution to this revolution. We know that the colonial governments, we know that the WHO, the CDC, all these people do not have African lives at stake, and instead they're interested in making Africans guinea pigs as they find the solutions to save white North American lives and European lives. But instead we demand African self-governance and control. So it's at this point that, did you want to comment on that, Comrade Zakhele?
Yes, brother. I want to comment about there's been a lot of discussion about this thing of vaccines here in Africa, because there's been comment that they have to test them here in Africa. So I would like to find out if this thing of vaccines, is it something that we really have to watch it out, even if the people are rejecting it? The government, can it be able to do it even if the people are rejecting it or on the ground?
Well, much of the reporting that's been taking place has been with these scientists over in France who were suggesting that the trials be done in Africa, the same way that they had tested HIV vaccines or HIV testing on African sex workers. It's not clear that any sort of trials have begun amongst African people in on the continent of Africa. And the only trial that I've seen, the first trial I've seen, was of a white North American woman who suggested she'd be interested in doing the trial. So yeah. So this is just why like you said, I really appreciate that question, because as African internationalists, we have to always lead with facts to inform our conclusions. The one thing I know is that there's not evidence that they have started yet, but it reveals that sort of colonial contradiction in the minds of these doctors, that Africans can be lab rats for the solutions that at the end they want to make for themselves. I know for a fact that, however, that whatever American corporations have already tried to monetize whatever cure measures are being taken place or moving towards and stuff like that. So I know that they've already tried to monetize it. I also know that they're working on some tests and things like that that people can find out if they already have the antibodies, if they've been exposed to it and are carriers and things like that. But there's not been any outside of that interview. I haven't come across any hard evidence that they've begun testing on the continent just yet.
Yeah, thank you, brother. That helps a lot because in Africa now they're telling, they're saying it's us in occupied Azania who are bringing this Bill Gates to come and vaccinate Africa because of these neo-colonialists that are in power. So thank you for addressing that.
Yeah, that's what I did see. I think I read a report that the premier over in the DRC had opened his nation up to testing and things like that. So yeah, I mean, this really hits home this overall comment that the coronavirus is the colonial virus. That even if we sort of stave off this battle, the overall struggle against colonialism and its grip on African lives will not be resolved by these Western reforms that are that white North Americans and European powers are seeking to put in place. Once again, their goal, they keep saying we want to go back to normal, but their norm is the political economic situation that preceded this. That is what produced this, right? So this is why we have to continue to push forward towards true Uhuru within our lifetime to resolve the contradictions which has produced these contradictions. So yeah, thank you. Let's move towards call to membership for people to join InPDUM.
Yeah, we have to move on that thing. So my other issue, brother, is we had the doctors and the nurses in Eastern Cape. They were striking for lack of working material or the PPEs. So they started last week to complain that the government is not giving them the protective gears to work the people. So the police also shot the people last week. So, but the people this week continued with their strike. So it was starting a crisis because now we had the union. It was coming in to move in to intervene. But what we had later today is that the doctors and nurses, they went back to work. But I suspect that the there's something that is going on, like is like any other African country. This secular neo-colonialist does not have it. It wants to project itself as doing something here in occupied Azania, but there's nothing that is doing. Only on maybe in the private sector they are doing for money, but for the government, there's nothing that has been doing. That's why we're seeing this protest of the nurses and doctors for the lack of working material. So they are putting our African sisters and brothers at a risk for going to work without providing all the necessary and needed equipment. Yeah, brother.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely correct. And maybe that's a place where, like I said, Project Black can prove itself for the African people. Clearly, we can't overturn those contradictions completely, but providing resources to the people, even the health workers, because you're absolutely correct. In a place like the United States, Africans make up so little bit of the doctors, but we make up so many of the people who are immediately seeing the patients, the RNs, the registered nurses, the LVNs, which is licensed vocational nurses, the certified nurse assistants, and we know that African women have been Africans, and predominantly African women, have been dying because of this labor that they've been doing for people as the frontliners and things like that. So you're absolutely correct, as well as other public workers and things like that. So thank you for that. So it's at this time I want to call for everybody to join InPDUM. If you're listening to this live stream, if you're anywhere here in North America, we got people in Europe, we got people in Africa. No matter where you are watching this live stream, you are able to join the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. You can join as an annual member. You can join as a sustaining member. You can go to InPDUM, InPDUM.org, and join. If you're in occupied Azania, I'll have Comrade Zakhele come on and give the information about how one can join and pay membership locally or regionally in occupied Azania or in other parts of the continent of Africa to join InPDUM. We have the masses of African people have to be united and organized to overthrow this beast and to win African liberation. So, Comrade Zakhele, are you able to tell people how people in occupied Azania, as well as other parts of the continent, can get in contact with you or other leaders in the African Socialist International if they are interested in organizing with InPDUM and joining InPDUM?
Uhuru, brother, thank you. Yes, I would like to invite all the African brothers and sisters who are in Africa to come and join us to build this movement that will unite Africans that are here in Africa and who are outside of Africa. So this organization is very important, and it really needs African working class, not the politician at the top. It needs you on the ground. So what you can do, if you are in occupied Tanzania or South Africa, you can go to our page, which is InPDUM South Africa. You can like our page. You can inbox us there. What you can do also, you can go to the party page, which is African People's Socialist Party, Occupied Tanzania, which is the leading force here in occupied Azania that lead all the work. You can contact us also there. You can find Brother Asa, Muhau, or Tafari. On our cell number, you can find us on 079 4574309. You can contact us there if you want to call. On WhatsApp is 061 122 5326 for WhatsApp number. That's where you can contact us. I'm located in Mpumalanga in Bombela. You can also get me on InPDUM South African page. We can talk. Let us build the InPDUM here in occupied Azania and also around the continent. We are calling all who are freedom-loving Africans to join us. We are African internationalists. We subscribe to that philosophy. We want to unite every African in the world under one government. So join us as we build this people's movement that will overturn this capitalist system that is killing us as Africans, that depends on us, that bleed our blood every day. So let's defeat this colonialism by building black power. So right on, brother. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, Uhuru, much love, much love. So on this, I'd like to once again thank everybody who's been part of this live stream, this broadcast. I'd like to salute once again our leadership. Like I said, the guidance of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party USA, as well as the chairman of the African Socialist International. I'd like to salute President Kalambayi Andenet of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. I'd like to salute Louisa Kinshasa, Secretary General of the ASI, Dr. Aisha Fields, the director of APDEP and Black Ankh, and the chair of the COVID-19 Commission. It's not, like I said, being metaphorical. It's not saying lightly that that we know that African lives have been saved, comrades' lives have been saved by the measures of the movement, by the measures of Project of Black Ankh. Let's keep pushing towards unity, the unification of Africa and African people at home and abroad. We know that we have, what is Africa has produced what is needed for African liberation, for the guidance of the world. We have to demand our resources back. We have to demand self-government and independence. At this moment, I'll move to adjourn. I'll let a comrade Zakhele do the adjournment of the meeting.
You're right on, brother Uhuru. Yes, I would also like to recognize the work of Sister Aisha.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she's been very helpful for giving us the information via AppDep. We've been using that information to spread around. So I would like to salute her. She can keep the information coming. Yeah. I would like also to salute our leadership here in occupied Azania under the leadership of Chairman Tafari. Yeah, and all the other comrades we are working with. So right on, brother. You also like to salute the comrades in North America. You are very you are helping us to really get into this thing. So you are strengthening us very much here in occupied Azania. We're looking forward to learn a lot from you as we go forward building this glorious movement. We won't be. We also promise that we're in the struggle because of the theory, not because we like someone or other stuff. We unite with the theory that says we have to unite Africans because we are Africans. Yeah. So in closing, what I would like to say is related to
Africa.
Is related to.
All right.
Yeah, right on. Black Power.
Black Power, Black Power.